So I wanted to do a little video today. It's basically going to be a review and comparison of these two trucks. To my right, we have a F550 Power Stroke diesel, and to my left we have the F750 Power Stroke diesel. So I have a landscaping, masonry, and excavation company, and I've always debated what would be the best truck for me, a 750 or a 550. Hopefully I'll be answering those questions today. So the first thing we'll do is just a simple comparison. Obviously the F550 is a lot smaller. Anybody can drive the F550. The F550 is four-wheel drive, which matters if you are plowing snow, not necessarily salting and sanding, but if you are plowing, it would definitely help having four-wheel drive. It is below 26,000 pound gross weight. With the 750, it requires a CDL. It does have air brakes. The F750 does not have four-wheel drive. It is a two-wheel drive, and you cannot get a four-wheel drive option, and it is rated for 33,000 pounds. Obviously there is a big difference in tires, there is a big difference in weight, but other than that, they're both similar trucks with similar purposes in life. The F750 has a 7-yard Bebo body, while my 550 has a 5-yard airflow body. The F750 does have air to the rear. We have a 20-ton SureTrack trailer. 550 just has a ball hitch. So as far as the bodies go, it's about 2 yards bigger, maybe 3. The advantage with the 550 body is you can drop it from the top to easily load pallets, while with this Bebo body you can't, which is a very big deal in hardscape because all I really deal with is pallets constantly on every single job. So not having a barn door or not being able to drop my top is a pretty big deal. So the 550 is very convenient as far as pallet goes. The 750, not so much. My 750 has wheel wells, which I will soon be putting on the 550 because they constantly fall off. This is probably the 6th time. I can basically do 8 yards of loam, 8 yards of mulch, but 7 yards of gravel, 7 yards of stone. While over here I can do 6 yards of mulch and compost, light stuff, and more like 4 yards of gravel and stone. I installed LED lights, which I had to have, and a LED Ford emblem. I think it makes the trucks look more noticeable and more sharp driving down the road. But the first thing we're going to get into is the power. I basically have 5 categories that I can think of to rank these trucks. First is engine, second is transmission, third is braking, fourth is looks, and fifth is comfort. So let's get into the power, how well these trucks pull. With the F550, if you overload this truck with, let's say, 5 yards of gravel, this will go up a hill no problem. It will not phase it, it will drive right up it, and there's absolutely no issue with power. It definitely deserves an A+ on the power rating. Extremely overbuilt. Anytime I'm hauling a track skid steer anywhere between 10, 12, even 14,000 pounds behind it, there has never once been an issue or a drop of speed just by going up a hill. The F750, which is pretty good, pretty powerful, but it does weigh quite a bit more. I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say it's at least 4,000 pounds heavier. It still does pretty good. Pulling a single track skid steer, it does not phase it. It does not go down in speed just because you go up a hill. You can severely overload this with, let's say, 8 yards of stone, and it will still go up a hill at 50 and it will not drop speed. If you're hauling, which I do, 2 skid steers at once with this 20-ton SureTrack, it will drop in speed slightly, but nothing to complain about. So with this 750, I'm gonna have to give it a A rating, not an A+ like the 550. The 550 is just a little bit more overbuilt for what it's capable of. If anything, the 750 would need the upgraded engine, not the 550. Number 2, we're gonna get into the transmissions. The gearing and engine braking, exhaust braking etc. With the 550, again, it is stupendously overbuilt. You can severely overload this truck with, let's say, 5 yards of gravel. And the braking, exhaust braking in particular, is no issue. The truck will actually throw you to the steering wheel. It engine brakes so hard. That makes life on your brakes a lot easier, makes them last a lot longer. Severely overbuilt as far as the transmission go. Now both trucks have a 6-speed transmission. It does top out at 82. It doesn't go any faster than that, but for what I use it for, the gearing and transmission seem pretty perfect. A+. The 750, I do think the 750, if you severely overload it, let's say, you know, 8 yards of stone, the engine braking is slightly underpowered compared to the 550. Nothing crazy, nothing that bad, nothing to complain about. It's still, in my opinion, overpowered, but it does a pretty good job. The exhaust brake actually is almost too much. I go to turn that on when I'm going down a hill and it's literally throwing me to my steering wheel, and it's almost too much at times, so I have to turn it off, especially when I'm in public. This truck, unlike the 750, does top out at 76, which would really be my only complaint. The very few times where I do take this truck on the interstate, I want to be doing 80+ miles an hour. I don't want to be doing 76. I would have to rate this at an A, not an A+ like the 550. Just because of the top speed issue. Then again, I don't think it's really that big of a deal. Number 3, braking. How are the brakes on the 550? I have 72,000 miles on this truck. I believe I replaced the brakes at 67,000 miles. And to me, that is incredible for the amount of times that I overload this truck, which I do quite often. Stop extremely fast. It's extremely safe truck to use even if it's overloaded. I've never had an issue with the brakes. Very fast responding, very powerful, extremely overbuilt. Then again, this 550 gets an A+ on the braking. The 750 on the other hand, it is a air brake system, unlike the 550. The brakes are, you have to definitely know what you're doing. I mean, there's a reason why you need your CDL in this truck. It does not brake as fast. The brakes aren't as overbuilt on the 750 comparing to the 550, but they do stop fairly quick. It's not really a complaint, it's just the 550 is a little overbuilt as far as the brakes go, especially when you're hauling a trailer with a lot of weight. You know, you can't be on anyone's ass. You need to stay far away, you need to pay attention, which you should be doing anyway. I would have to give this a B on the braking. Definitely could have some quicker responding or more powerful brakes in this truck. It's not really a big complaint of mine or anything, and it's not really that big of a deal for me, but if anything, maybe some better brakes. Number 4, obviously this doesn't really matter that much, but it's comfort. We'll start here with the 550. Having this 550, I thought there was absolutely nothing worse than driving in this empty on a bad road. But I will tell you, it rides slightly better on bad roads than the 750. So basically, this truck does not come with an air seat. The 750 does. That being said, the 550 empty rides about the same on a good highway as the 750 does. The 550 on a bad dirt road or a bad tarred road rides extremely bad. It's almost back-breaking at times, and it sucks, but it's a 550 and I didn't really expect anything that great, but it is still better than the 750. The 750, not loaded or loaded on a bad pavement, especially with a trailer on, is almost unbearable to drive. Somehow it is worse than the 550. I never thought that would happen. You have much bigger mirrors in the 750 compared to the 550, which is good and bad. Yes, you can see more behind you, but when you're coming out to an intersection, they are extremely blinding. You cannot see the lane behind them. So you need to look like 3 or 4 times before you actually pull out into a road, which is kind of annoying, but it's all right. But as far as comfort, I don't expect these to ride like King Ranch or Denali, but if I was to grade them, I would go D- and F-. Basically the same ride empty on a highway, but when it comes to bad paved roads, the 750 is far worse. And the last category is look. This is more opinion based, but in my opinion, There is no doubt which truck looks sharper, which truck looks better, which truck grabs your attention when it drives down the road. And it is without a doubt the F750. I give the F750 a A++ in the looks department. I think the smaller headlights and the big grille far outweigh the 550 looks. Yes, I think the 550 looks good, but it is nowhere near the looks of the 750. And of course I have the 750 windows tinted when I do not have these windows tinted at all. But overall I would give the looks, which this department really doesn't mean anything, a A++ with the 750. I think it's the sharpest looking small truck on the road versus a B with the 550. And overall I would grade this truck as an A+. I really don't have any complaints or anything that I would change with this truck. It is phenomenal, it's reliable. I've never had issues with it. It is more than capable of doing more than its payload every single day. I love it. This is probably my favorite truck of all time. The F750, very debatable which is my favorite truck, is a very good truck. It's not for everyone. It obviously requires a CDL, so if you have employees with no CDLs, it's kind of your own truck. It's still great. You can obviously haul a decent amount more with it, get jobs done faster. You can still load it with a mini excavator or a skid steer. It's not that much higher in the air. That it doesn't have four-wheel drive, and it's a little bigger, a little harder to move around. The turning radius is nowhere near as good as the 550. I would have to rank this truck as a B-. I do see things that you could improve with it. A bigger engine would be nice. A higher top speed would be great. I would love for it to be a little more comfortable on bad roads. Other than that, it's a great truck. I just kind of wish I had a barn door for the tailgate. That way I could put pallets in it. A big advantage with the 750 is obviously you can haul a lot more weight. This 550 here is rated for 18.5 on a ball hitch. This truck here, which has a 20-ton pintle, but obviously I wouldn't want to haul 40,000 pounds with it. I do believe it's rated for like 33 that I can pull. It's very handy hauling two skid steers at once instead of just one skid steer at a time with this. But all in all, if I could only choose one, and this is just my company, I would choose the 550. If I had two, if I had the choice between having two, I would split them. And if I had the choice between having three, which I am going to have, I actually pre-ordered one, I would get another 550. Which is coming in a few months. I would not get another 750 just because obviously no one else can drive it in my company. But if you're a landscaper and you slightly do hardscape, not much excavation, 550 is the way to go, hands down, not even close. If you are a bigger hardscaper and you do more excavation stuff, more drainage and even getting into septic, you're gonna want to spend the extra money and roll with the 750. Even though it has two-wheel drive. The advantage of hauling 3, maybe even 4 yards more at times, depending on how big of a body you get, with the 750 is a pretty big deal. Obviously to me, when I do a lot of hardscape, a lot of excavation type work, having this bigger truck is a huge plus. But when it comes to who is king, 750 or 550, as much as I hate to admit it, 550 is king. I think the 550 is more overbuilt than the 750, even though the 750 obviously is a much bigger, stronger truck. The parts in the 550 for what it's capable of are extremely overbuilt, while the 750s are just slightly overbuilt. Both are awesome trucks. Both are great. If you're gonna go out and spend the extra money for a 750, you're gonna wanna make sure you're digging an awful lot